Hace pocos días, el famoso periodista estadounidense Tucker Carlson realizó una entrevista al presidente de El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, extraordinariamente reveladora, una entrevista que no tiene desperdicio y que no ha tenido todo el alcance que debería en el mundo hispano, quizá porque fue hecha en inglés. En esta entrevista, Bukele demuestra unas dotes de liderazgo, de altura moral, de dinamismo, de visión estratégica, muy por encima de cualquier otro líder hispano que se nos pueda venir a la cabeza. Es llamativo que el destino haya querido situar en el más pequeño de los países hispanos, El Salvador, precisamente el país que lleva un nombre tan hermosamente cristiano, al que es el mejor de los líderes políticos hispanos. Y lo que nos lleva a atrevernos a decir que es el mejor de los líderes hispanos son los hechos. Por sus frutos les conoceréis. No hay duda de que la transformación de El Salvador lograda por Bukele es verdaderamente asombrosa. Ha pasado de ser la nación más violenta del planeta a ser el país menos violento de todo el continente americano, equiparable en índices de criminalidad a las más calmadas de las democracias europeas. Al evaluar este logro, no perdamos de vista que en el origen de ese descenso a los infiernos de El Salvador, como la nación más violenta del planeta, estuvo la terrible guerra civil salvadoreña, que se inició en el 79 y duró 12 años, en cuya gestación y curso tuvo un papel fundamental, como no, la actuación de Estados Unidos, del mundo anglo. Pero analicemos las partes más llamativas de esta entrevista para conocer un poco mejor al presidente Bukele y para entender la tremenda fortuna del pueblo salvadoreño al haber dado con una verdadera rara avis, un político excepcional en el que se unan cualidades que es tremendamente difícil encontrar en una sola persona, cualidades que en general son antitéticas. El político muy dinámico, muy volcado en la acción, tiende a no tener visión estratégica y muy a menudo tiende a ser completamente egoísta, tiende a preocuparse solo por sus objetivos personales o de partido. De igual forma, el analista sesudo con visión estratégica tiende a no ser hábil en la acción, tiende a ser incapaz de materializar proyectos, de llevarlos a la realidad con éxito. Por encima de todo, siempre suele faltar altura de miras, altura moral, altura espiritual para priorizar por encima de todo interés personal o de partido el bien de la comunidad. Pues bien, en todas estas cualidades brilla Nayib Bukele, el David de la hispanidad frente al Goliat del malestar que sufren prácticamente todos los países hispanoamericanos. Pero empecemos recordando cómo ha sido la transformación de El Salvador gracias al gobierno de Bukele.
My guess is that of all the countries in the hemisphere, El Salvador seemed in the toughest shape or close to the bottom in the rankings
Definitely.
for everything.
Yes.
Lacking abundant natural resources, etc.
And since the country was born.
Is that true?
Yes, I mean, the country has been poor since it was born. Yeah. Lacking everything, basically.
Lacking everything.
Yes.
With a dense population, a lot of people
Yes.
packed in.
Yeah.
So how did you change it? I guess I'll cut right to it. If you can fix El Salvador, what are the lessons for the rest of us? What did you do first?
Well, of course, you cannot do anything if you don't have peace, right? And when I say peace, I include war, civil wars, invasion, crime. I mean, you need to have peace. You need to be able to move freely, to have your basic rights respected, starting with the right to live, the right to move, the right to have property. So you need your basic rights to be respected. So you need peace. That's the first thing a society will struggle to achieve. And once you achieve peace, then you can struggle for all the other things, like infrastructure, wealth,
Yes.
Well-being, quality of life. But you have to start with peace. So we had to start with peace. And in the case of El Salvador, we were literally the murder capital of the world.
Yes.
And we turned it into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. We're safer than any other country in the Western Hemisphere, which is, it was, if I would have said that 5 years ago, they would say that I was crazy, right?
Yes.
Because this was literally the most dangerous country in the whole world.
Your capital is now safer than our capital in Washington.
Yes.
A lot safer.
And the country is safer than the United States as a whole.
Yes.
The U.S. murder rate is around 6 murders per 100,000 inhabitants, and our murder rate is 2. So we're safer than Canada, safer than Chile, safer than Uruguay, safer than the U.S., safer than any country in the Western Hemisphere. There are countries in the other hemisphere that are safer than El Salvador, but not in the Western Hemisphere.
So you did that in just a couple of years.
Yes, we did that basically in 3 years.
Are you getting a lot of Americans moving here?
Yes. I mean, probably in numbers it won't be significant to you, but yes, you can see it. I mean, you can see it everywhere. And we're also getting something that's that's very meaningful to us is that we're getting a lot of our diaspora, a lot of our immigrants, the people that emigrate El Salvador because of the war, or because of the gangs, or because of the economical issues that have always happened here, a lot of them are coming back. And there's a study made at the IOM and USAID. Sorry, I'll send you the link.
Yes.
There's a study made by the IOM and the USAID that says that 62% of Salvadorans living in the United States want to come back to live here.
Amazing.
62%. And 18% are already making plans to come. That's over 500,000 Salvadorans coming back. So that's super significant because, I mean, we expelled them from their homes, right? Because of crime, because of a war, because of lack of opportunities. And the fact that they're coming back is the biggest proof that we're doing things the right way. We have a long way to go, but we're doing things the right way.
Una transformación verdaderamente asombrosa. Pero un aspecto que no debemos perder de vista, en especial todos los hispanos, es que esta transformación, este esfuerzo colosal, tuvo que hacerse con la oposición de la comunidad internacional. Es más, hoy día Bukele sigue sufriendo el rechazo, por no decir el acoso, de gran parte de la comunidad internacional, en especial de Estados Unidos y del mundo anglo. Esto les chocará a muchos, les costará procesarlo y lo descartarán como un error diplomático menor. Quizás que han malinterpretado la acción política de Bukele. Pero no es un error en absoluto. ¿Por qué Estados Unidos rechaza, obstaculiza a Bukele? Miremos a la realidad de frente. Bajo el diseño estratégico de Estados Unidos, todos los países hispanos deben estar hundidos en el fango. En el momento en el que prosperen, se convierten en un posible centro de poder y, por tanto, en una posible amenaza. Bajo la mentalidad psicopática de Estados Unidos, la lucha por el poder es una ecuación de suma cero. Si otros ganan en prosperidad, en riqueza, en poder, eso supone que Estados Unidos pierde. Por tanto, bajo la perspectiva paranoica anglo, lo correcto, lo que debe suceder, el destino de los países hispanos es estar siempre en el fango del caos, de la pobreza, del subdesarrollo. En consecuencia, cualquier evolución nacional que rompa esa narrativa debe torpedearse, atacarse y ningunearse, especialmente si puede llegar a ser un referente para el resto de países hispanos. Mientras los hispanos no seamos conscientes de esta mentalidad psicopática y la enfrentemos con fiereza, no saldremos de nuestro malestar. El relato de Bukele es evidente para quien se atreva a leer con sinceridad entre líneas.
I'm not going to go into conspiracy theory. I'm going to go into provable facts, right? Like you said. So there's worldwide agendas, right? These are provable facts, right? They have benchmarks that they need the countries to follow and they need the countries to do. This is, out there, right? But sometimes if you work on those things, you're probably neglecting the important things for your people, the things that your people are really asking for. I'll give you an example. When we arrested the gang members that were killing so much people that we were the murder capital of the world, literally the most dangerous place in the whole world, more dangerous than Haiti, right? More dangerous than Iraq. This was literally the most dangerous country in the world. We have triple the amount of the murder rate that Haiti has right now. With all the mayhem that they have, we have triple that here. So what do you have to do? You have to stop that, right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you don't even need to have a big thought process. You have to stop that. That's the first thing you have to do. When we did that, we got huge condemnations. You name it. Say an organization, we got a condemnation from them. So, and a lot of them were human rights organizations. And you would ask, but what about the human right of a woman not to be raped? I mean, what about the human right of kids to play or to be free or to go to the park? And what about the human right to live, or the human right to walk in the street, right? But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers, which they have human rights. I don't say they don't. They're humans. But if you have to prioritize, what will you prioritize?
Yes.
Right? The human rights of the honest, hardworking, decent people, not the human rights that they do have. But you won't prioritize the human rights of the killers and rapists and murderers. And so we secured the country, and we did it with no help from any other country, and with huge condemnation in everything that we were doing, everything. I mean, we changed the Attorney General. We got so much condemnation because we changed the Attorney General that we need to change to prosecute the murderers. So we basically, they tried to block every step of what we were doing. And now it's that the results are there, that it's, they're tangible, measurable, undeniable. Now they don't know what to do, because a lot of other countries are saying, maybe a lot of other countries similar to ours that have similar problems, they are saying maybe we should do that too. But they don't want that because that's not in their agenda.
But I guess that's why I came here, to be totally honest, is what your success says about the country that I live in or other countries in the hemisphere or in Europe, where people are killed by the thousands every year. And what you've proven with very little money and no help from anyone else is it's not that hard to fix. Therefore, all that killing must be a voluntary decision that my government and many other governments are making about their own citizens.
You can make that logical.
Well, I don't know what other conclusion to reach. If El Salvador can do it, what's going on here?
Yes, you can make that logical conclusion. I think that's probably what they are afraid of. Because, I mean, we don't have weapons of mass destruction, right?
No.
So why are they afraid? Why would they take so much time in make condemnations to El Salvador, right? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, you didn't send a man to the moon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think they're afraid of the example. Because a lot of people might say, hey, we want that too.
Pero seguramente el punto más llamativo de la entrevista y que lleva a una reflexión más profunda es la revelación personal que hace sobre cómo el gobierno salvadoreño enfrentó los peores momentos de la lucha contra las maras. Una revelación personal valiente y totalmente contraria a los discursos políticos habituales que se escuchan hoy día en Occidente.
So, just bottom line it for us. What's the formula?
Well, I can tell you the official formula and the real formula.
Okay.
So the official formula is that we did a plan. I mean, we did a plan. It's not that. When I say official, I mean it's a lie. It's just the official one. We did a plan that was comprised of phases. So we roll up the first phase, then the next one, then the next one, and then gangs started attacking back. So we had to roll up everything at once, like in a hurry. So and it worked. It worked. In a couple of weeks, the country was transformed because the gangs were not yet arrested, but they were on the run. So we basically, in the roll-up of phase 6, we basically pacified the country in a couple of weeks.
How do you do that? How do you pacify a country?
Well, the phases included building up of the police forces, the army. We doubled the army. We literally doubled the army to fight crime, to use the army to fight crime. And we equipped them before, like soldiers, we didn't have useful guns or vehicles, drones, basic things that an operation of that magnitude would need. So, yeah, we roll up the phases and then we went after them.
Okay, so that's the official. That's the official.
Yes, that's the official.
What's the real?
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
I love that. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's a miracle. When gangs started attacking us back. Basically, they killed 87 people in 3 days, which for a country of 6 million people, it's crazy. Would be the equivalent 60 times, would be the equivalent of having 5,000 deaths in 3 days, 5,000 murders in the U.S. in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were in a meeting, and when it started, not when it ended, but when it started, we were in a meeting at my office, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just watching, what was happening and trying to figure out what to do, because the problem with the gangs is that they don't they don't only attack their objectives. When they want to create terror, they can attack anyone. So they can actually kill their grandma.
Yes.
And it's your victim.
Yes.
Because they don't care about their grandma. You care about their grandma, so it's your victim. It's like if they kill their grandma, you have one death, and they have, they achieved the terror that they want to create. So they can kill anybody. A woman walking by, a guy working in the street, a taxi driver. They can kill anybody. And if the state goes after them, the state has no intention of killing or harming anybody, but the gang members. So you have 70,000 objectives, which were the 70,000 gang members, but they have 6 million possible targets. So it was almost an impossible task.
It's a guerrilla war, really.
Yes, it is, but it was an impossible task because you have to go after them. They were intertwined with the population, they were everywhere, and they were killing randomly. So how do you stop that? So we really tried to figure out what to do, and I basically said, well, we're looking into an impossible mission here. So we pray, and we.
You prayed in the meeting?
Yes, of course, several times. Yeah.
What did you pray for?
To wisdom, to win the war, to have. I thought at the time that we would have civilian casualties, so we said we prayed that the civilian casualties will be as low as possible, and we didn't have any civilian casualties.
And was everyone in the meeting comfortable with that?
Yes. All my security cabinet are believers. They all believe in God. We're a secular country, of course, but we all believe in God. So.
Pero además Bukele va más allá y es capaz de verbalizar que hay una dimensión espiritual en lo que sucede, algo verdaderamente inusual hoy día entre los líderes políticos. Bukele se ha manifestado a menudo como creyente en Dios, aunque se desconocen cuáles son sus creencias religiosas concretas. Bukele, que viene de una familia palestina cristiana, cuyo padre se convirtió al Islam, que se ha criado en un país católico y está casado con una mujer evangélica de ascendencia judía, ha sido muy discreto sobre su adscripción a un credo concreto. De nuevo, la referencia para evaluarle debe ser el por sus frutos los conoceréis. Y Bukele está demostrando un liderazgo moral acorde con los valores universales cristianos más elevado que el de cualquier otro político hispano.
MS-13 is one of the major gangs.
And they are satanic also.
That was my question. So very
I'm
little.
sorry.
No, but I would hope you will explain it because very little has been written in the West about this.
They're satanic, yes.
But actually, literally, can you explain?
Well, they didn't start as a satanic organization. MS-13 started in Los Angeles, in the U.S., because Salvadorans weren't allowed to sell drugs by the Mexican gangs. So they created a gang that was called the 18th Street Gang, because they basically wanted to sell drugs in a street that was 18th Street over there. But then division started they started dividing themselves and started infighting. So they created the MS-13. And then MS-13 started outgrowing the other gangs, and they started exporting the organization to other parts of the U.S. And when Bill Clinton decided to deport those guys, he didn't tell our government at the time, I'm deporting this criminal. They just, send them here. And they came, there were few, but unchecked. At the same time, some laws were passed to protect minors from imprisonment. And of course, the gangs used that to recruit 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. So at the beginning it was, some youth causing harm, assaulting, trying to control their territory, selling drugs, things that are bad, but probably not critical. But they grew, and they started controlling territories. A few years later, They were actually a huge huge international criminal organization that they have bases in Italy, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, the U.S. Basically, a lot of major cities in the U.S. will have strongholds of.
Right outside Washington, D.C.
Yes, of course. And you have in Long Island and
yes.
in L.A. It's a huge criminal international organization. So they grew and they started, killing more people just to get territory or to fight against rival gangs or to, collect debts or, money or whatever. But as the organization grew, they became satanic. They started doing satanic rituals. I don't know exactly when that started, but it was well documented.
Yes.
And in our arrest, we've even found authors and things like that.
Yes, I've seen them.
And so they became a satanic organization. And even when you, sometimes when you interview gang members that are in prison, they would say, I'm out of the gang. Of course, they're in prison, but they would say, I'm not a member of the gang anymore. And when they asked them why, I remember I remember the news outlet that made it this, but it's a very well-known news outlet that made this interview with a gang member in person. We allowed them to go into prisons and do the interviews. And the guy that they asked him, how many people have you killed? And he said, I don't remember. He didn't remember how many, probably 10, 20, he didn't remember. And then they asked him, and what is your position in the gang? He explained how he went up in positions, but I left the gang. I said, why did you left the gang? And he said, well, because I was used to kill people, but I killed for territory. I killed to collect money. I killed for extortion. But I came to to this house, and they were about to kill a baby. And the killer that had killed tens of people, said, oh, wait, what are we doing? Why are we going to kill that baby? And they told him, because the beast asked for a baby. So we have to give him a baby. So he said that he couldn't resist that. So he left the gang. He's in prison because, he's a killer. But he left the gang because he couldn't tolerate what he was seeing.
So human sacrifice was a part.
Well, in the United States a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago, I don't remember exactly, I saw the news that they were going to kill a young girl, or they killed a young girl, I don't exactly remember, because it was a satanic ritual.
So that's almost never described
no.
in English language press as clearly as you just described it.
No. Which is weird, right?
Well, you sort of wonder why.
Yeah.
If there's a spiritual component that's driving it, why not just say so?
Yes.
But I guess my point is you saw it as that.
Yes, of course. There's a spiritual war and there's a physical war. And the physical war could be, that's the unofficial.
Yes.
That's the unofficial version. The spiritual, if you win the spiritual war, it will reflect into the physical war. So I don't know how to call it, our impressive victory was because we won the spiritual war.
Ya veo los titulares. Bukele menciona a Dios y el país debe ser laico. Es que hasta eso nos quieren imponer, que seamos ateos. Nosotros respetamos a todas las religiones, respetamos a los ateos, a los agnósticos, los respetamos y somos sus amigos, pero déjennos creer en Dios. Y déjenos darle la gloria si así lo queremos. ¿En qué les molesta? ¿En qué les afecta? Tal vez les afecta el ejemplo.
Además, Bukele demuestra en esta entrevista una capacidad de análisis realista que sin duda es parte de su éxito como ejecutor de proyectos, y ese análisis habla de la necesidad de reformar las cada día más degradadas democracias occidentales. Democracias cada día más subvertidas, manipuladas, maniatadas por las oligarquías de los grandes poderes económicos privados.
So Western civilization, because civilization goes like this.
Yes.
So Western civilization reached the peak. I cannot point exactly where the peak is. It's like timing the market, right?
Yes.
I'm going to buy in the bottom and I'm going to sell at the top. Nobody can do that, right? And so I don't know exactly where was the peak, but we can all agree that we're in the decline.
Yes.
So that is happening because we're not giving the correct maintenance to the civilization. Why? What made the West the leader in the world at the time we're living right now? What caused that to happen? A lot of things, like, importing the scientific process, started, developing science.
Yes.
Focusing, putting a lot of money into art, into science, into trying to build the best things and as fastest and as best and as great as possible, and importing wisdom and technology and trying to develop new technology and trying to But suddenly, when you get wealthy, happens with families too.
Yes, it does.
Then people probably get spoiled, or they get, I want more things, I want that, I want this. You have to provide me that. And, politicians, the problem, democracy is great, right? The US has proven that democracy can work. But the problem with democracy, because everything has, pros and cons, the problem with democracy is that politicians have a great incentive to offer, to give away the treasury.
Yes.
So if I say, no, I'm going to keep the treasury, it's because we might need it, for an emergency or something. Nobody would like that. People would like, oh, I'm going to give away the treasury. So they would vote for him. Then another politician will, you know what, I'm going to give the treasury plus another treasury. So we're going to go into debt, right? Everybody will say, great, let's receive more money from the treasury. And when I say treasury, I mean, anything, building stuff, giving free stuff, sending checks to people.
COVID relief.
Yeah, exactly. Getting, a stimulus, whatever. So the politicians have the incentives of, just giving away the treasury and entering huge amounts of debt. And that doesn't not only destroys the structure of the government, but it also destroys the structure of society. Because if you give, for example, money, okay, if you don't work, I give you money, right? Or if you can shoplift $1,000 a day and still get some money from the government for food, housing, why would you work in that store we shoplifted and probably get in trouble, right? So the incentives are wrong, but it's not only because, maybe they are, but I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories, but it's not only because there are evil politicians, there are evil people planning everything, which might be the case, but I won't go into that. But just because things, the incentives are wrong.
Yes.
So even a normal, not evil politician has the incentive to give away the treasury because he needs the votes. He needs to be elected. That's what he needs, right? He needs the votes.
It's the nature of the system.
Yes, it's the nature of the system. So the problem is that democracy works. Nobody can say it doesn't because it worked in the United States, right? But if you don't give maintenance to the system, it will fall like the wall if you don't give maintenance to it. Because the same system will degrade itself. So what you're having right now is a huge erosion of Western civilization. So we have governments pandering to their bases, to their ideology because they mobilize the vote or whatever, looking at what will happen in the election, what we can do to get more votes in the election. I don't want to get into U.S. politics because it's not my, but. Yeah,
well,
so,
actually,
okay, so we have this huge voter group. Let's give them something to get their vote. Let's give them, $100,000 each. It makes sense, right? To get their votes. But it doesn't make sense for a country. Why would you give $100,000 to each member of a voting group? Right? It should be illegal, but it's not because who makes laws, right? It's the government. So the system is eroding, and if the maintenance team doesn't go in and fix all the things that have been, degrading the last 50, 70 years, it will eventually fall.
En otro momento de la entrevista, Bukele habla de economía, de los factores que hacen que una superpotencia sea tal. Menciona el caso de España. Cuando lo hace por oposición, tenemos que ser capaces de ver más allá. Tenemos que ser capaces de vislumbrar lo que podría, lo que debería ser la Hispanidad, como una entidad verdaderamente autónoma, como la única alternativa que tenemos los hispanos para ser relevantes y dejar de estar subordinados a otras superpotencias.
You still have the best innovators. You still have the biggest companies. You still have the world reserve currency, the biggest wealth, the biggest GDP. The availability to hire talent from anywhere. You can bring whatever talent you need to fix any gaps. You can pick any. You get it. You get what you want. You still can get what you want. You can't get attacked because you're
too far away.
You're too far away from anyone that wants to attack you, because Mexico or Canada are not going to attack the U.S. So your enemies are too far away, and you still have the biggest army, the biggest armed forces. So
biggest energy reserves in the world.
and the U.S., like Russia, they were built as superpowers. So it's not like, for example, if you see the economy in Spain, it's very good. It's a robust economy. It's big, G7.
Yeah.
But they are how you say in English, turrón, nugget? They sell nugget, right?
Yeah.
Or they sell Iberic ham.
Yeah.
So it's very good, expensive, but you don't actually need that.
Right.
So
luxury goods.
Luxury goods. So if you sanction Spain, you'll break their economy. But if you sanction Russia, you can't break Russia, because they are built as a superpower.
Yes.
So they have wheat, they have energy, they have natural gas, oil.
Yes.
Because they were built like that.
Industrial capacity.
Factories, workers. So the U.S. is like that too. It was built as a superpower. So you have wheat, you have corn, you have workers, you have blue-collar workers, you have trained, skilled factory workers, you have colleges, you have universities, you have a school system, you have infrastructure, you have cities, tourism, the Mississippi River. I mean, you have everything. You have ships, you have warehouses, agriculture, fertile lands. What you didn't have before, you got, right? You took from Mexico or whatever. So the U.S. was built to be a superpower, right? Acquire land, acquire fertile lands, Texas was part of Mexico, but it's part of the U.S. and you have all the oil there. So, and then you have California. And the U.S. is built as a superpower. So the U.S. has everything to go on for 1,000 years. It's not like it's doomed to fail.
Durante la conversación, Bukele revela también otras de las cualidades que le hacen verdaderamente excepcional. Tiene un dinamismo, una energía, una valentía, una constancia verdaderamente extraordinarios, que le han hecho superar todos los obstáculos que han aparecido en su nada fácil carrera política.
I'll give you an example. In 2019, the system was totally rigged. They canceled our party. We were running with a party, and they canceled it. They annulled our party. So I was partyless. So we went to a small party and said, you don't have any candidates, you're very small, do you want to win the election? So we got that party registration, and they canceled that party. Yeah. And they canceled that party in the last day that you can file the candidacies. So we got a medium-sized party at 11 p.m. and we were able to file our candidacy. So it was not like it was easy or the system wasn't rigged. It was just so fair that we just we put up our proposals and the people just voted. It was very hard to win. And then when we won, since we didn't have simultaneous parliamentary elections, we actually went to the executive branch totally opposed to the legislative branch and the judicial branch. So they control the Supreme Court, and they control 90% of the legislative body. So I had to veto everything, and they override my vetoes, and they approved over 70 laws that I veto. Yes, and everything that we do, Supreme Court, is unconstitutional. Yeah. So we went to the people and said, we cannot work like this. We need a majority in Congress. We need a huge majority in Congress because we not only need to approve laws, we need to get all these people out. And the only way to get it out democratically and respecting the rules of the system is that if we get a huge, immense majority in Congress, right? Because Congress can fire anybody, even the president.
Yes.
So people gave us the huge majority. And it was hard because they still control the electoral tribunal as of today. That's why our election was recognized by all the countries in the world, because they know the electoral tribunal is controlled by the opposition. Still.
It's the only thing that's controlled.
It's the only thing. And we have that, so that validates and legitimizes everything else. So but the thing is that in 2021, when we went to congressional elections, we carried a supermajority that they said it was impossible because the system was designed so you cannot get a supermajority. But we got it with more than that.
Por último, Bukele da lo que podría entenderse como un consejo para aquellos líderes políticos hispanos que puedan tratar de emular su figura y enfrentarse con el establishment político que trabaja para perpetuar el malestar de los ciudadanos hispanos, casi siempre teledirigidos por intereses extranjeros, traicionando el interés de la ciudadanía. Consejo que recuerda las míticas palabras del Mahatma Gandhi, líder político espiritual por excelencia, eterno referente en la lucha contra el supremacismo anglo. Primero te ignoran, después se ríen de ti, después te combaten y después ganas.
Did you ever worry they would try and put you in jail?
Well, they did, even when I was president. I mean, and even being already in the presidency, they tried to impeach me. They say I wasn't. There's an article in the Constitution that says Congress can actually fire the president if he's not fit to lead. So they say that I wasn't fit to lead, and they tried to impeach me because of that. But there was such a. The people were like, they feared that the people would But if there's no way to stop him from competing in the election, all the things that they do to him will just give him more votes, right?
That seems to be happening.
Yes, either you stop the candidacy, or you let him be. But just hitting him you're making the greatest campaign ever.
Este es Nayib Bukele. ¿Quién sabe qué deparará el futuro? Pero hoy día parece razonable afirmar que la hispanidad necesita más líderes con la energía, visión, capacidad de ejecución y altura de miras que ha demostrado Bukele. Si algo hemos de aprender del enorme éxito que ha supuesto Bukele, es que jamás debemos confiar en las recetas inútiles y a menudo envenenadas que tratan de imponernos desde fuera, sino que la hispanidad, para construir el futuro de prosperidad que merece, deberá utilizar sus propias recetas, su propia cosmovisión, su propio criterio.
Hoy, a 4 años de nuestro gobierno, nadie se atreve ni siquiera a negar que por primera vez en nuestros 202 años de historia, el país más pequeño del continente ha dado los primeros grandes pasos para lograr su sueño de grandeza. En muy poco tiempo, El Salvador pasó de ser la capital mundial de los homicidios, pasó de literalmente ser el país más peligroso del mundo a ser el país más seguro de América Latina. Ya no es una promesa, es una realidad que están viviendo los salvadoreños. Y cualquier extranjero puede ir a comprobar por sí mismo. Por eso, muchos en el mundo están pendientes de lo que ocurre en nuestro país, sobre todo en Latinoamérica, pero también en Estados Unidos y en otras partes. Ven lo que sucede en El Salvador y se preguntan por qué no puede pasar lo mismo en nuestros países. La respuesta es clara y es sencilla. Deben tomar sus propias decisiones. Deben reafirmar su derecho a usar el sentido común, a probar sus propias recetas y ejecutar sus propios planes, a diseñar sus propios sistemas. Ningún país tiene el derecho de imponer sus ideas, de imponerle su forma de hacer las cosas, menos cuando estas formas ni siquiera funcionan en nuestros países. En cada una de las decisiones que hemos tomado, nosotros hemos reafirmado nuestro derecho legítimo a autogobernarnos, aunque eso hubiera significado equivocarse. Pero no nos equivocamos. Tuvimos éxito, un éxito rotundo. Así que no solo reafirmamos nuestro derecho a tomar nuestras propias decisiones, sino también nuestro derecho a tener la razón. No hay ni una sola receta, ni una sola fórmula que funcione para todos por igual. Pero sí creo que hay un ingrediente que todas las recetas deberían incluir, o al menos deberían tener el derecho de incluirla. Ese ingrediente es la valentía. Hay que tener la actitud, el valor, la determinación de hacer lo que se debe de hacer, aun cuando otros te cuestionen, aun cuando otros te critiquen. Durante décadas probamos todo lo que nos dijeron que era lo mejor para nosotros. Nos pusieron a luchar una guerra civil por una causa ajena a nuestra realidad, porque llevaron el conflicto entre Occidente y la Unión Soviética a nuestra tierra. Más de 85,000 muertos después y un país destruido. Después de todo eso, nos dijeron que esa ya no era la receta, que ahora había una nueva receta. Así que nos hicieron firmar unos acuerdos de paz falsos, que de paz no tenían nada y que solo sirvieron para que los dos bandos de la guerra se repartieran el botín. Intentamos con cada fórmula que nos dieron y nada funcionó. Después, amparados bajo poderes extranjeros, le entregamos el país a la derecha. Y luego, también amparados por agentes externos, le dimos el poder a la izquierda. Así nos mantuvieron durante 30 años de posguerra, donde hubo más muertes que en la guerra civil, y más pobreza y más violencia. Nadie hizo nada por cambiar de raíz el sistema, ni las instituciones, ni mucho menos las leyes. Todo lo que ocurrió durante esos años se hizo con el respaldo, el financiamiento, la anuencia y la imposición de quienes siempre se han autodenominado grandes defensores de los derechos humanos y de la institucionalidad democrática. En lugar de darnos la medicina para sanar, nos estaban dando un veneno.